to Lisa. Lisa Shields, she is a dating coach. We have some questions on dating, and relationships, which,
Hit me with them, Amy.
well,
Bring them on.
bring them on. So introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit
Oh,
about you and what you're seeing out in the world right now with relationships, love, dating, the whole shebang.
so my name is Lisa Shield, as you can see, and I have been a love coach for 18 years. I woke up when I was turning 40 and I looked around and I thought, there is no way in hell I am going to be single and 40 or in my 40s in Los Angeles, California, where every woman looks like she walked off the pages of Shape magazine and they're drinking their kombucha. And I can't compete with that. And that was my version of hell. I had come out of a 13-year marriage to a pathological liar when I was 34. And I'd been single for about 6 years doing a lot of interpersonal work. So with Don Miguel Ruiz and, following Marianne Williamson and getting my master's degree in spiritual psychology. But
Mm-hmm.
all of those things didn't help me relate better to men. I related better to myself, but not to men. And so I realized that this was a very different focus. And I needed to get out there and face it head on. So internet dating was just starting. And I had a lot of friends who were very spiritual, and they would say to me, "Oh, the kind of guy I'm looking for would never be online." And I thought, well, I need dates. I don't know.
I know.
I need some dates and I need to figure this out because something's wrong. Something's not working. The
Mm-hmm.
more fabulous that I became, at least in my own mind, there was not a trail of men waiting to ask me out. So I just put my little self up there. I didn't know anybody who was doing it at the time. And that was over 20 years ago when I did that. And I proceeded to go out on almost 96 first dates in 2 years. And they were all first dates. There were only two second dates in that whole time. And I was applying a lot of the things I had learned from my teachers and all, but there weren't love coaches at the time. It
Mm.
was not, there weren't even coaches. Coaching was a very new field. And so um, I met my current husband between my first and second year of my master's program. And when I met him on our first date, I looked up in his eyes. And the first thing that I thought was, this is the kindest man I've ever met. And we sat down across from each other. And Benjamin is truly the most extraordinary human being I know I've ever met, and definitely the most wonderful man. And he sat across from me and he was right there with me. He gave me his full attention. I've still never known anybody who is as present as he is.
Mm.
And I just thought, wow, I don't know how this will work. I don't know. My energy might drive him crazy because he's so zen, but 18 years later, I am still as passionately, wildly in love with this man as I was the day that we met.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, I think about 3 months into our relationship and said, you really should be a love coach or, a coach or a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I had an importing business. And I forgot to say that it was a coincidence, but really a remarkable thing. He had written one of the books that we read in my spiritual
Oh
psychology
gosh.
master's program. It was
Awesome.
called, brace yourself for this, it was called Handbook for the Heart.
Oh.
And it was breathtakingly beautiful book. It really had been my favorite book in the course. And yeah, so he looked at me and said, you should be a coach or a therapist. And I knew therapy wasn't, I had done therapy in my
Right.
journey, but I really was more at a coaching point in my own life. And
Yeah.
so I sold my business, enrolled in coaching training, and became one of the very first love coaches out there. I created my own path, my own work, and it's been amazing. So
Yeah.
uh, I really wanted to show women I don't ascribe to the limited views that so many people put out there. I think, you know, my husband and I don't argue. We don't fight. In 18 years, we could, look at disagreements. We really are guardians of each other's
Hmm.
souls. And this is what I show my clients how to find.
Yeah, so a couple things came up for me in that. One, yeah, so Lydia, beautiful, beautiful story. Raya, yes. Fatuma, yes. That is not a coincidence at all. But two things came up for me because
Tell
one,
me.
I see this all the time, and is you know, how we approach men and talk to men is doesn't really work that
Hmm.
well in
Yeah.
relationships and in dating. And the second one is yeah, I mean, I have a question here about some ground rules for dating in 2021 because it is a little. I'm on the apps. I'm dating, right? So I am out there. So kudos to your 96 dates, by the way. It's not easy. So can you first speak about really when you're on dates and speaking in that or in your relationships and how women speak to men, and secondly, how what's the new ground rules 2021 online dating?
So, first of all, how to
Yes.
speak to men.
Yeah.
We have so many views about men that are inaccurate. As women, we are taught to see men from a female perspective. So we talk to our girlfriends, we sit around, we analyze and overanalyze. Why did he do that? And why did he say this? And whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I realized when I went out to find my true partner this time around, Amy, I had a sobering conversation with myself. And I said to myself, Lisa, you know nothing about men. You don't know what a man wants from you or needs from you other than sex. You don't know if a man is going to come into a relationship with you. What does he want from you? Oh, yeah, we all think we're a package. I'm so wonderful and I'm such a gift to men and humanity and whatever that we tell ourselves. But the truth is, we all may be wonderful people, but men and women have very real needs that they have to get met from one another. And what
Mm-hmm.
I want from a man and what a man needs from me, it's not what I think he needs. What does he truly need from me? He needs me to listen to him. He needs me to make room for male vulnerability. Most women don't understand what male vulnerability is. It's different from female vulnerability. What we talk about when we open up, when we share about what we're afraid of, it's very different. It sounds different and it is different. Men are afraid to open up to us because they've done it in the past and women didn't understand them. There are things, if you truly want a man to be vulnerable with you, he's going to say things that you don't want to hear if he's
Mm-hmm.
really being honest. If you ask him, do you think my girlfriend's hot? Most guys won't tell you. They'll say, "Oh no, you're the hottest woman in the world to me." But what he really wants to say is, "Yeah, she's hot. I'd do her in a second." And that's what real male vulnerability sounds like. And most women aren't open to it. We're too insecure. We say we want to hear it, but then we do. And we get upset. We get angry. It plays on our insecurities. I can't believe you said that. And so we've got to learn how to understand men and make room for men to be men with us. And something I talk about a lot, Amy, is how we inadvertently shame men. So women have a knack for setting men up to fail. We tell them we want them to take the lead, we want them to do this or that, and then we turn around and tell them how they did it wrong or how they could have done it better, right? We're all guilty of this, all of us. And so there's a way in which, I work with a huge part of what I do is how do you honor and love men and create that safe space for a man to truly open up and share his whole heart and his whole world with you without taking it personally, without making it about you, without having histrionics, drama if he does open up. So there's a whole world, there's a whole different language for how to understand men and how to speak to them. One big thing, and I don't want to go on too long, but because I can talk and talk, right. One big thing, Amy, is learning how to ask for what you want and need in a partnership, and learning how to do it in a very positive and inviting way. Yes. Men respond great. They want to make us happy. They want to please us. And so if you know that, a man is going to respond so much better to, I love it when you do this. It turns me on when you ... You're my hero when you send me flowers on my birthday. Instead of saying, I'd really like, I need flowers on my birthday. Why didn't I told you that I really like cards. I can't believe you didn't get me a card on my birthday. Yeah. Right?
So I want to speak into that because it's like a vicious circle. Because actually, it's very vulnerable for women to speak that way, to speak in a way that's not demanding or angry. To come in from like, I think it would be hot for you to like really send me flowers. I think, that's scary for women to say that. They'd rather say, you should give me those flowers. You know what I mean? Where are my flowers? There is a vulnerability in changing the languaging for women, because I think we've been trained for so long to speak that way, demanding.
Absolutely. I agree.
So can you speak into how we can I know when I work with people, it's about that vulnerability of actually asking for something in a way that's not demanding.
Right. And I call it emotional nakedness.
Okay.
So I call it emotional nakedness. What we're longing for is not just to get physically naked, but what we truly want is a relationship where we can walk around completely emotionally naked. We don't have to second guess ourselves, look over our shoulders, think, oh, we went out to dinner with another couple. We're going to get in the car and he's going to tell me all the things I shouldn't have said. Why did you say that? You shouldn't have done that. We're going to get attacked or whatever. So we're looking for real emotional nakedness. And the first thing is we have to start to take responsibility at our end for how we're showing up. And as you clean up your side of the street, as you start to language things in the right way, and you start to do this, Amy, it starts to open up this whole different world with men. So one of the things that my husband does with me is he writes the online dating profiles for my women. And they're so beautiful. My husband is the most beautiful writer. He just has a poetic soul. And the women cry when they get their profiles. And the men quote lines from the profiles. And they're like, this, other women write their profiles for other women, but your profile is really written for men. This is the kind of stuff they say.
I'm sending it over to your husband. He can write my profile.
It's
Dominique
amazing. It is amazing to see the response from these profiles. So men are really, what it shows me is not just that there are men out there who read the profiles, but that there are men who really do respond well to this kind of languaging. So we clean up our side of the street. We start doing this. And what's great is in my program, so I teach a 12-week course on getting emotionally naked and attracting the guardian of your soul. And what's beautiful about the course is that because there are women who are in different stages of the course, some women are in week 3, week 5, week 10. The women who come into my course, they get to watch the modeling from the women who are further down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to hear these women coming on calls and saying, oh my God, I did what Lisa said. I reached, I sent that text to that guy and said, I love it. I love a man with a plan. And boy, was he on it. He jumped
That's
to
right.
it. He took the bait. He planned the whole date. So they get to start to see the modeling from the other women and the success they're having when they implement this languaging and these tools.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes it easier for them to then get to that point. By the time they start dating, they get excited, and they're excited to put themselves out there and try this stuff because they see it working for the other women.
Mm-hmm. So I this kind of answered someone's question, which is how to communicate better in all relationships. And this goes for this type of communication, this negative communication, not negative, this type of naked communication where you don't communicate with judgment or fear or demands. It can go to your friendships, can go to your kids, can go to everywhere, right? Because it really applies to everybody. So in your communication, it will create better, happy relationships when you switch it.
With my clients, yes. It's like a massive transformation. Like we're focusing on love and men and dating, but they, by the end of these 12 weeks, are like, I'm applying this to my kids.
That's
I
right.
use that with my boss. You
Right.
know, the men at work are eating out of my hand. Like I can get them to go to do anything for me. They're bending over backwards. But it works with everybody. But it's somehow it's a major block in our relationships with men. As women, we don't like the idea that somehow we seem subservient or like we're being, little needy, whatever, little needy girls. And so we put that on ourselves. Mm-hmm. You don't have to look, this is the language of love. This is the language of romance. And men in a romantic context are going to respond so much better. So women, the best thing, make it inviting, make it a challenge, make it a request, right? Make it a request. So instead of saying, let's jump on a Zoom call, right? Let's jump on a Zoom call. Instead of doing that, which would be the masculine way, you would say, I bet if you invited me to come on a Zoom call, I'd say yes. Now you put the ball in his court so he can ask you and it becomes his decision. What happens when a woman tells a man what to do?
It's not good.
It's not good. Why? Because it reminds him of who?
His mom.
His mom.
Yes.
You want to know what's wrong with reminding a man of his mom? He doesn't want to have sex with his mom. He doesn't want to sleep with his mom. He doesn't want to go to get naked with his mom, right? Emotionally or physically. You do not want to be his mom.
At all.
At all. And men love to make up. They like to think it's their idea. So when you give them a choice, when you say, I bet if you asked me, for my phone number, I'd give it to you, then it becomes his choice. Does he ask you or not?
Yes. I have a line in my dating.
But what's your line?
Seems like we have a lot in common. If you want to meet for a drink, let me know. That's what I said. That's my go-to line after 3 texts. I'm like, okay. It's like, you gotta, it's not good. Andrea doesn't like it. But, in LA, in LA, it's like you gotta get them. You gotta
I'm,
call them
I'm,
to the
I'm also
carpet.
Latina. I'm also
Yeah.
Latina. So I'm Latina. So I think that I incorporate what Lisa says. That's part of who, it's
Yes.
almost like part of who,
There's
Yeah.
got to be some sass
there has to
some
be a little bit of like,
playfulness.
Yeah. I'm afraid of what comes with that playfulness on like the app. Like, I don't know. I'm a little
But
bit
Amy, look,
leery
men,
about it.
here's the deal. This is a big double standard. And
Yeah.
Andrea will get this too. As women, you have to be willing to dangle the carrot, but you always have the power to pull it away. And that's the game that's the fun, that's the romance, that's the playfulness that men are looking for.
Yeah.
They're looking for playfulness. They don't want a business transaction. They want a woman who can bring them some challenge. And by the way, men are going to play the sex card.
They are. They try to get me to their house at 12 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, I am not going. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I saw the after school specials, okay? I am not going. I am not going there, okay?
The after school special.
Right? Come on.
But Amy, here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Men are looking for women who, when they play the sex card,
Mm-hmm.
don't get bent out of shape
no.
or don't get turned. Yeah, they want women who can kind of go, hello.
Like, that's so cute. That's so cute. That's so cute.
Yeah,
No,
that's so
thank you.
cute. What are you doing?
Yeah,
Or you're going to have to get to know me a lot better than that before I come over to your house at midnight. Right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't, but they are looking for that woman because some men will meet us and they're going to judge, am I going to play the long game or the short game with her? The
Right.
short game is I'm going to get her into bed because, she's not that great. I'm not really feeling it, but if I can get her into bed, why not?
Mm-hmm.
And the long game is, wow, there's something different about her. She's not just pretty.
Mm-hmm.
She's not just pretty. There's something I need to explore here. And if we have to become that woman who sparks that thing in that man sitting across from us where he's like, wow, wait a minute. She's not just that little hottie that I can get in, use my normal tricks and get her into bed. This one's different. This one's worth, investing some time in. Mm-hmm. But you have to create that because right now with online dating, somebody asked about what are the rules.
Yeah.
These are the rules. You can't just be a pretty face and have a hot body. There are a billion women out there. They're a dime a dozen. Mm-hmm. You have to start to become a cut above the rest. You're going to get a man's attention with your photographs, your profile, whatever, but it's not getting his attention. It's keeping his attention. Mm-hmm. And there came a point for me where I sat up and I said, Lisa, you have to start being a woman and not a little girl.
Yeah.
You're not 15 years old anymore. You're not 15 years old. And all the women out there are like, I want to date a real man. You know what a real man is looking for? A real woman.
Right.
A woman. And not a woman with rules. A woman with healthy boundaries who understands men. A woman who is not in her head, but is in her heart. Mm-hmm. Why do the Latinas get so much, because they're all heart. They sparkle, a lot of these women. They love men.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good. I love men. I love men. I respect men, but I don't know. The online, the apps sometimes are a little bit leery, scary. But going on from that.
But Amy, that is not my client's experience.
Right.
So when they work with me in the first month, they don't date. And then in the second month, in the third month, we do their profile, we do their pictures. And when they get back out and start dating in the last 2 months, it is a night and day difference. And it's
So,
online.
right. So there's a question here. It says, she says, I'm afraid to find a man because I always choose the wrong one and settle.
Mhm.
So let's talk about that, choosing the same person over and over, and what's behind that.
So you've got to do some very deep work on excavating your patterns and looking at there's several different components to this. So one is looking at your attachment style and the attachment style of the men that you are picking. Typically, by and large, and I'm just going to exaggerate. By and large, predominantly women are anxious and men tend to be avoidant. It can be the opposite, but there are many, many, many anxious women out there. We're anxious. Where our time clocks are ticking. We want babies. We want partners. We want, and we give all of our power away to men. And our anxiety is very attractive to men who are emotionally unavailable. So they get very caught up initially with the anxious, women who want relationships. They get into the relationships. Those guys love bomb. They come on. Those are the players, the guys that sweep you off your feet. They pull you into a relationship, and the minute you're in it, they bail. They pull away. They grow cold. They string you along, they breadcrumb you, or they ghost you. And so you've got to look at attachment styles, and you have to also do some deep work on patterning. So our mother, our father have set us up to be attracted to certain kinds of people. And I do a brilliant exercise, if I do say so myself, because I've seen the results of it, not because I think I'm brilliant, but because I watch the women in my course do this work. First, we do an extensive inventory of each woman's relationship history, including their mother and father. And then from that, we extract the repeating patterns. Anything that repeats throughout their history, we create a master list. And then from that, we do an exercise called your final five. So we look at the patterns, we pull them out. If they are subconscious and you're not aware of what you're doing, they will run you. You will keep repeating these patterns no matter how many affirmations you tell yourself, no matter how many times you say, okay, I get it. You can read books, you can do all this other stuff, but you have to get to your patterns. And then from that, we come up with your final five. Your final five are the 5 must-haves that you have to have in a partner, or you cannot date him. And they're not arbitrary. They're based on your history.
So I know Micah, he says, you have to have standards. Why take a crappy person as a partner? We hear you.
We all
Micah.
do it, Micah. It's easier said than done, honey. If it were that easy.
Yeah, there's so much layering on both ends of any partnership. Everyone is carrying their own set of patterns, beliefs, and self-belief, worth. It's really, I love that because it's really important to really. I'm very practical in my coaching, so I love being very practical about what exactly is happening. And then cross-referencing it, picking your 5. I love that.